Well, hello again to all of you once more. My name is Sam and I welcome you to the 140th edition of Weird Mind Newsroom, where of course, like every week, I'll be taking you through and talking on all things of the new releases, the trailers, and news that the world of entertainment has to offer from the week. So let's not waste too much time and jump into the wide selection of media that we have been given for this week.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
We start off the week of new content with the basis that if given the chance to win a life-changing amount of money by taking part in a dangerous game where you could lose your life in the process, would you be up for the challenge, and how far will you go to take it all down? Well, as with one of my favorite directors is looking to take that approach, is Edgar Wright is giving us his own take on the popular adaptation of Stephen King novel with the release of his own take on The Running Man. Then the film is based on an original 80s novel by Stephen King and set in alternate 2025, where the economy is in ruins and worldwide balance is high. It sees a massive popular worldwide television game show called The Running Man see contestants earn big cash prizes by trying to survive for 30 days from being hunted down and killed by professional hitmen by any means necessary. And we'll see our main focus of Ben Richards, played by Glenn Powell, become the next contestant on the run, and may soon lead him to wondering if this elaborate scheme and find a way to shut it down or find a better life for him and his family. Now, reception on this new take seems to be a bit more of a mixed to modestly received with praise for its performances, its action scenes, and being a well-formed take on the original novel, while some have seen this feeling a bit of lacking in the flair that Edgar Wright is known for with his own movies, but it's still an entertaining outcome overall. And if you're up for checking this out, you can run and catch this film right now in cinemas. Now, the next one, I was going to do a bit of magic and stuff, or ask you to pick a card, but it seems to be the case I can't locate cards and I don't know how to do magic, but might as well give it a try. So, wave the magic wand. We have an issue of the case about focusing on a new magic take. You know, we use to amaze with magic and stuff like that. But it seems in this case there's more cooler things to use magic for, such as crime. As it seems to be the case, the Four Horsemen have returned and brought with them some new additions to the group for a new scheme, release of the third entry of the popular series of Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Now, of course, the film will see the magic group of thieves, the Four Horsemen, reunite after separating from time ago, and have recruited 3 new highly talented illusion magicians and bring them in for a heist for them to steal the largest queen diamond in the world from a family crime syndicate, and deal with the consequences through the use of magic. Now, reception on this third film seems to be a bit more of a mixed reception, but currently ranked as the best in the series, with praise on the chemistry of the cast of characters and some of the appeal of the tricks and scenes that occur in the movie. Even the plot is a little lacking and some of the magic is too over-reliant on CGI, but may appeal over enough that it may see a return for a fourth entry, which is currently on the way. If you want to see some magic up close or from a distance, you got this now on the big screen, you can do so now in cinemas. Our third release, it may have been a case that Halloween was 2 weeks ago, but it's still a case that we have some more horrors popping up all the way to the end of the year, and it's a return to a director that really keeps some things vague with their creepy tales, but done so in the tactical marketing done really well, as Osgood Perkins is back with a third directed film in less than 2 years with the release of his new horror title of Keeper. Now, the film will follow Liz, played by Tatiana Maslany, and Malcolm, played by Rossif Sutherland, who is for a 1-year anniversary take a trip to a secluded cabin for the weekend. Liz, soon left alone after Malcolm suddenly returns to the city for work, is approached by an evil entity and soon unveils the cabin's secrets. Now, reception on the new horror is a bit more of a mixed bag overall, as while the performances of the main leads are solid and the film does provide a few good unsettling scares, the film feels a little messy in places that could have been more strong potential with better context on the overall narrative, but I'm sure it may find some appeal in the near future. And if you want to check it out for yourself, then you can do so now by checking this out in cinemas too. The next film release is one I see is a bit more of what I call a somewhat award season bait movie, as the film in focus has taken us back to nearly a century ago in order for us to see the outcome and ordeal of a terrible event in history and the outcome of some of their perpetrators involved, as with the release of the post-war courtroom drama movie known simply as Nuremberg. Now, the film will tell the story of leading to and the events of the Nuremberg trials following World War II. Now, we'll see a US Army psychiatrist played by Rami Malek getting blocked in a psychological showdown with accused Nazi war criminal Hermann Göring, played by Russell Crowe. Now, reception on this new film seems to be modestly received with praise in the performances and take on the side of the conflict that is not always often seen as much in these projects based on this part of history. And if you want to check it out for yourself, the film is also able to check out now in cinemas. As for the one show of this week that we have in focus, it's time we talk on an area of media that has been noticeably quiet for a little bit of time, as we're talking on the release of a new superhero media genre, as we have some new take on the iconic Cape Crusader, but in this case, he's not alone. He has the whole family along for the occasion, as with the release of the new series following on of the one-off festive special from 2 years ago, a new series known as Bat Fam. Then the series will focus on a young Damian Wayne, Batman, and their close-knit family of misfits as they deal with the challenges of everyday life while protecting the streets of Gotham as superheroes. Now, reception on this series so far seems to be very decently well received, with praise in the more lighter take on the Dark Knight as a dad, the fun quirky animation style, and something that will appeal to audiences young and old. If you want to see this new take on the character, then you can catch this new series out now as well on Amazon Prime. Now jumping over to games, it's that time of year once more, as it's time to gear up, get the brief, and get the squad together, as it's time to go above and beyond, and it's the annual release of the popular FPS series, as with the release of the newest Call of Duty game with Call of Duty Black Ops 7. The new game is set in 2035, 10 years after the events of Black Ops 2's campaign, and will follow a JSOC unit led by David Mason, as they investigate the apparent return of presumed dead terrorist Raul Menendez, and a mysterious new group known as the Guild, that is using some powerful new chemical weapon that may turn the tide of conflict in the process. Now, reception on this new take, however, is quite the mixed array of opinions, as while the critics' side has been more mixed to modest at best, the audiences have been a lot more critical of the title, calling it one of the worst titles in the series, with issues stemming from the campaign that's all over the place, the fact it's all online only mode, no option to pause and change the difficulty, and it feeling like a botch job, with some pointing to the use of generative AI in their content as well. Yes, they use Studio Ghibli content, what I've seen for some of their AI images, though some seem to appeal to the zombies mode and multiplayer being okay but not overly great, and maybe seeing COD coming to an end of appeal after a bounce back last year with Black Ops 6. But in all sense, if you want to try this title out for yourself, it is available to play now on PS4 and 5, Xbox One and Series X and S, and PC, with presumably coming to Switch 2 in the future, but I have no idea. And with all that regards as well, that's all the new game releases that we do have for this week. We're starting off trailers this week with the first of two titles that are given the focus of the video game adaptation, as we got this week one that's been aiming for the stars, and we blasting off on a planet hopping adventure, as after some time and waiting, we were given the first official trailer for the upcoming sequel to the Mario movie with the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Now, in a new entry, we'll see Mario and Luigi join Princess Peach and Toad on an adventure to the far reaches of space and across the galaxy, where they will face off against Bowser's son, Bowser Jr., who's trying to save and free his father from being shrunken and imprisoned. So if you've been around this channel where I started over 2 years ago, you may recall my first ever review for this channel was the original movie, and I had a lot of praise for that movie for making a damn fine effort with the original, with some issues that I hope will be fixed in this new one, such a case of like focusing solely on Mario music, and the case maybe giving one or two characters a bit more development, such as Luigi and stuff like that kind of thing. But what I can say from this new one and from the trailer, it looks visually stunning, and I'm excited to see what they do with the different galaxies and worlds of the cosmos. Not to mention that the unveiling of both Junior and Rosalie as voice actors, Rosalie being voiced by Oscar winner Brie Larson, and Junior being voiced by Benny Safdie, which is an interesting kind of case. I feel we'll be interested to see how they turn out, and the characters do look amazing. I'm very excited to check this film out real soon. It's not too far away, as the film will be launching itself into cinemas from April 3rd of next year. Now it's time to ask, are you ready, kids? As it's time to head to the bottom of the sea and come on an all-new adventure with everyone's favorite absorbent sea sponge, with the all-new seafaring adventure, as we have the release of the second and possibly final trailer for the newest Spongebob film with The Search for SquarePants. In the film, we'll see SpongeBob looking to prove his bravery to Mr. Krabs, with the sponge following a mysterious swashbuckling ghost pirate of the Flying Dutchman on a seafaring adventure that takes him to the deepest depths of the ocean into the underworld. It's interesting to see how many films and spin-offs that this franchise has garnered over the last few years, when it was a case that what I'm remembering correctly, the original creator, Steven Hillenburg, God bless his soul, basically emphasized he didn't want spin-offs on this franchise. And after he passed away, there's been about 2 spin-off shows, and so far 2 spin-off movies, with another one in the way focused on Squidward, if I know correctly. But I feel the case, since I think the first spin-off was made with him, so there might be null and void in that aspect. But what I can say from this instance is, it doesn't look too bad. The free animation looks fun and expressive and has some appeal, and I'm sure will entertain the young kids and some of the fans of the Sponge in due part, but I can see it being entertaining, but hard to really say right now. I guess we'll see what will come of this whole adventure in due time, with the film set for release in cinemas just before Christmas on December 19th. Next in the focus, with a new film to look at that's been garnering a bit of award season buzz, supposedly, over the last few weeks, that tells a bit of a more fictionalized story of a real-life person that shows that it may not be as big of a sports star compared to others, but will prove itself in showing there is more to than a simple skill, as with the release of the new trailer for the title known as Marty Supreme. Then the film will tell the story of Marty Mauser, played by Chalamet, a young man with a dream that no one really respects, who will go to hell and back in the journey of pursuit of greatness and help to bring the appeal and high-scale sport of ping pong to the masses of America. Now, I can see in sentence the appeal that is often seen a lot of times with Chalamet projects, that it seems to be putting his all, or really trying to become one with the character or performance that he strives to play, with the projects varying in appeal or interest. This is one that I'm sure I may give a look at some point and enjoy, but maybe because it's not overly well known person may help a bit more, but It's really hard to say at the moment, but I guess we'll see with the release of this film and the reception in due time, as it's playing its way into cinemas in the US on Christmas Day, and then over here a week later on New Year's Day. Our next trailer in focus of our second game adaptation of the week has been seen that in this case we've heard the ideals that war never changes, and if there was a chance to do so, seems a little bit unlikely, as it seems no matter what it is with this universe, it was all rigged from the start. As it's time to return back to the ever-expanding wasteland once more, as we receive the second and presumed final trailer for the second season of Fallout. Now, the new season will follow on from the end of the first, and from the tease in the finale, we'll see Lucy and Dogmeat accompanying Cooper across the wastelands towards a place known as New Vegas, in order for her to discover the truth about her father and of Vault-Tec. Cooper to reflect and resolve the scars of his past, and the process will be Maximus preparing himself for war, the growing conflict set to begin. I can really see if anything that has a lot of potential in the world of adaptations being made. Fallout seemed like one that could have worked somewhat well in a lot of different things, of like bringing in iconic characters and the settings and the tone and everything like that, and it seems to have been the case that has worked in their favor heavily, as the original was a critical success, and similar to The Last of Us garnered a ton of award recognition at the Emmys recently over the last year or two. And it seems in this case that they are continuing this trend of making it the best they can make it in faithfulness and taking a page out of one of the most popular entries in the series of New Vegas. And I'm very interested to check this new season now, because they've already confirmed season 3, so we'll have to see how that comes along. And it's not too long away as well, as the new season will be released in about a month's time on Amazon Prime from December 17th. Next up is a bit more of some steamy romance that may have a very different adaptation of this novel, comes a new approach and take overall, and it seems in this instance, while this new adaptation, it's looking to go in a more wild and presumably more closer to a bit more of a modern interpretation than a full-blown faithful take. Well, which I guess is expected from the director of this project, given their last one was Saltburn, as we received a new trailer for the upcoming adaptation of the novel of Wuthering Heights. Now, the film will be based on a novel and will tell the gothic erotic psychological drama where tragedy will strike when Heathcliff falls in love with Catherine Earnshaw, a woman from the wealthy family in 18th century England, and soon a steamy romance of passion will begin to take shape. Now, I have not read that famous novel before, and while I can say the likes of making it more of a modern interpretation and more of a steamy love affair can be a bit daunting, I feel it makes sense to give it something that will at least make it different to others' takes on the book itself. And like I've seen some of the discourse of the whole film itself online is something that could appeal overall, or maybe something questioned if it was more loose take was worth it or not. But I guess we will have to see how it comes about and if the early test screenings opinions are anything to go by up to the release of this film into cinemas from Valentine's Day of next year. Okay, so this last focus of trailers was technically go against some of my rules I have when it comes to discussing trailers in this aspect, where if I'm doing it in a video version, my rules would be that they need to be from official sources and not fake trailers or AI mockups. They have to consist of new footage and not be mostly consisting of old footage from previous films or seasons, and the rule in this case being exception and focus for this week is they need to be a certain length, with my minimum length of trailers being about 70 seconds or so. But in the case of these trailers, I want to talk on them just on the basis of being some exciting projects that I want to acknowledge released and give a brief opinion on. So let's dive into those ones in particular. First off was one I expected was going to get a reveal around this time of year, as we were given the first official teaser for the 5th Toy Story movie. This will follow on from the events of the last film, with Woody having left behind to help abandoned toys find new owners with Bo Peep, and has made Jessie the leader of the toys, with Buzz as her second in command. But soon the age of the toys may be coming to an end, as Bonnie has now become enamored by her new favourite plaything of a frog-like tablet named Lily Pad. And the ideas of toys versus tech is something I expected was going to sometime happen with this, and it made sense to eventually give a focus of film to it. And I can see this as being where they could wrap up the whole franchise in a solid way, as I would have no idea where they would go from here. Though there's been discussions, I don't know if it's like Disney forcing this or Pixar has ideas in this particular instance where they want to continue the series past this film, but I really have no idea. But hopefully this will be the one that will wrap it all up with the release of the film from the 19th of June of next year. Then our next short teaser is seeing the new line of fashion on the way in some form, and soon as we reveal the first small teaser glimpse to the upcoming sequel to The Devil Wears Prada, which is being loosely based on the 2013 sequel novel. The film will see Presley, played by Meryl Streep, navigate her career amid the decline of traditional magazine publishing, as she faces off against Emily Blunt's character, now a high-powered executive for a luxury group with advertising revenue that Presley desperately needs, and will probably come down to Sachs or Hathaway's character to possibly become part of the whole ordeal. It will be interesting to see if it will be focused more on original narrative or take some pages of the novel, but I'm sure we will get more of an idea in due course, and I would not be surprised if the likes of a costume department really goes off in design for some award season recognition next year, but I guess to see by the release of the film from May 1st of 2026. And our last short teasers in focus is bringing us something on a more monster-sized level, as we were given an official first teaser for the second season of Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Our new season will pick up with the fate of Monarch and the world hanging in the balance, as this new season reveals buried secrets to reunite the heroes and villains on Kong's Skull Island, and to a new mysterious village where a mythical titan will rise from the sea. So it seems where the first season was more Godzilla focused, this will see the other iconic titan of Kong get more of a focus focus this time around. And it seems so hopefully we'll get more of an idea of new creatures and titans from this universe in play. I'm sure it may still have an appeal in the overall narrative, and I'm interested to see what they will do with all its work itself into the overall narrative, and how it will lead to the Monster First movies and stuff like that in due course, but I guess we'll see by the new season's release from the 27th of February next year on Apple TV+. And with all that regards now, that's all the new trailers that we do have for this week as well.
To impress, you must express.
As for our news for this week, we have a select number of smaller stories that don't have too much to really delve into, but all have a mix of discussion that varies from release dates and windows to product announcements to some that make sense and some might question why. But let's delve in to see what array of stories this week offers to us in intrigue for in the future. I will start off with the announcement of a new project from well-beloved filmmaker in animation, as it was announced earlier this week that Oscar-winning director Brad Bird will be releasing his next animated film, his passion project known as Ray Gun, sometime in 2026 on Netflix. Now the film is described as a form of a detective noir-based film that will follow the story of the last human private eye, known as Raymond Gunn, in a futuristic world co-inhabited by humans and aliens, with him hired to investigate a pop star named Venus Envy that will see him uncover a plot by her husband to frame her for murder, which sounds like it'll be an interesting take on the whole detective narrative. Will be an interesting outcome of the process of what will come to this project. I'm always interested to see the outcome of some people's passion projects, and it seems like this is something that will do well from this outcome. He's working on it for about 30 years now from what I've been told. I'll be sure for checking this out when it does come to Netflix sometime next year. I'll update on any announced dates or release months when they do come about. Now for a story is a few more pieces of announcements with all, and it all connects back to one specific character that has been quiet in any form since the late 80s, and that's to do with the character of Roger Rabbit. Now you may know the name from the classic live-action animated hybrid film of Who Framed Roger Rabbit back in 1988, but what you may not know was that this character was not an original creation of Disney, but rather was a character that obtained the rights to make the film based on the character created by the author known as Gary K. Wolfe. But since the 37 years in media, he's been very dormant, until just announced this week that the original creator of Roger and Jessica Rabbit will have finally gotten the rights back to the creations after all this time. What also was confirmed this week was the announcement that they are planning to make some new takes on these characters, with the confirmation they are planning to make a proper adaptation of this book that was originally titled as Who Censored Roger Rabbit, a 12-part toon mystery series supposedly, and also plans for a live-action film based on Jessica Rabbit that will be based on the book focused on her, known as Serious Business, that will show her more of a character than just a sultry songbird and can take care of herself in a world that's often dominated by men. So all does sound interesting. I will be interested to see what will come of these projects and who will be involved in these productions as well, as they do sound interesting to check out when they do come around in development. Now currently as well, there is no word on when we can see them being released as of yet, but I'm sure we will get an idea in due time, and if there's any updates about all this, I've of course by that in a later episode. Next up on some news of adaptations or new takes is a project that was one new ideal and perspective of a popular comic book story. As was announced this week that we get an all new take on the popular comic of V for Vendetta. We'll be getting an all new TV adaptation for HBO Max that is currently in development and will be produced by Guardians and Peacemaker director and the head of DC Studios right now, James Gunn. For those that may not know the plot, the series is set in a not too distant dystopian version of Britain, where the country is controlled by a fascistic Norse fire party, where it will follow V, an anarchist known for his distinctive Guy Fawkes mask, who will seek to topple the government with the aid of Evie Hammond, a woman he rescued from the country's secret police. Now, this is not the first time that this comic was adapted, as there's been the cult classic film of 2005 with Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman. I'll also follow the case of the second adaptation of Alan Moore comic from HBO, following the short-lived but very well reclaimed series based on Watchmen. So it seems like there may be some good hands and could really flesh out the narrative more than the film may have had been limited to with its runtime. Now as well with the project, this is all early days in this, and no set release window has been made just far, but I'm sure we'll get a deeper look into it in due time, and I'll provide some updates if anything does come along about that as well. Then going from anarchists to the undead, it's reported this week that a follow to a pair of appealing zombie killing movies may be coming back for another round, as it was reported that a third film in the Zombieland series is reportedly in the works. They may be looking to get the main group of Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, Woody Harrelson and Emma Breslin back for another round, and director Ruben Fleischer back behind the camera. It's also reported in the case that the film is possibly aiming to start production soon, with an aimed release for the third entry in 2029, marking a new film releasing every 10 years for this franchise. Now I can see some sense of appeal with this one, given that the two are well liked enough that a trilogy I feel makes the most sense to wrap everything up in a trilogy format if there is a story to be told. I will be interested to see if this all comes together, bring up all the satisfying conclusion, but I guess we'll see what will come with this project in due time, but I'll keep you updated if the project does go ahead planned for release some point soon, but I'll keep you updated. Then from the undead to the creatures that are created by the full moon, we have another pair of superhero news to discuss this week from both big studios, and we start off on the basis of Marvel, that if you may recall about 3 years ago, we were treated to a special presentation TV special that was known by Werewolf by Night, that was directed by acclaimed composer Michael Giacchino, that saw a group of monster hunters compete for a special relic while evading a powerful and dangerous creature. Well, it seems that it's not going to be a one-off project anymore, as it was announced this week that a sequel to this special is in development, and we'll see Giacchino return to direct the movie itself. Now, I remember watching this special all those years back, and I will say it is very well stylized, and a unique tone and flair to it all, and it's all in black and white and stuff. It's not often seen with the other projects of the MCU, and harkens back to the classic style and era of the monster movies of the past. And I'll be interested to see what they will pull off from this comic stories it's based from, and everything else that will entail it as well. Now, sure, it will likely be the case this will come along in the next era of this MCU phase, though it's probably following the end of the multiverse saga, but it's hard to really say at this moment of what to expect. But once, of course, I do hear anything about this, I will provide that in a later episode as well, of course. Then from Marvel over to DC. It seems that DCU is currently building itself up well in the foundations and projects and concepts from the success of this year's Superman project and the appeal and acclaim of the second season of Peacemaker and other projects like Creature Commandos and other stuff coming along over the next few months and years, give an idea of what to expect. And while I could have focused the story about the confirmation of the villain of the next Superman film confirmed now to be Brainiac, we are instead focusing on a new series that was confirmed in the works as on Monday and Tuesday. It was announced that the new DC Mystery series was in development, and the series will be focused and starring Jimmy Olsen in the main role. And nothing major has been in focus of what to expect, but it will see Jimmy do a bit of deep investigative journalism about some of the strange beings and creatures that have appeared across the vast DC universe, with the main target in the series reported to be investigating the character of Gorilla Grodd, which seems like a bit of an interesting approach, and I feel given some other characters that have become some fan favorites, a bit of folks may appeal overall. I'm sure the likes of Lois and Clark and Superman may appear in some form, but it's really hard to say right now at the moment. Now, as of things in this project, there is no confirmed release window for this, and I'm sure we're going to case them when you see some updates about it all in due time, and I will provide those in their episode if anything does come about. Now, for a take on comic books to a take on a classic novel, we're talking on a new tale of a classic children's novel getting a new take and perspective done, as it was reported this week that a new film adaptation of Alice in Wonderland is currently in the works. Now, it's not with Disney, don't worry, but rather this will be developed by Universal Pictures, and the film will also be set to be a musical. It's also been the case that it has already seen a planned lead in mind, or has been confirmed to be, as it was reported that music superstar of Sabrina Carpenter is set to play a titular character, which I can see work well enough, as she's had some well-known acting appearances over the years and capability, and has proven as well as she can sing, so it seems like it will work well in some regards for this musical approach. Now, I will be interested to see what will come of this take on the classic story and the weird and colourful world that will be created for the film, but I'm sure we'll get an idea of it all in due time, and if I hear anything new about all this and when we may expect this project, I'll of course provide that as well in a later episode. And now, the last of the stories and announcements, I really question who signed off on this one to be a thing in general, because on Thursday of this week, it was announced that Sony Pictures is making a film adaptation based on one of this year's popular trinket items of Labubus. Now, I have no idea the appeal of these creatures, the obsession that some people have with them. Some people have like a shit ton of them, and I really question it. What they're supposed to be represent to all that, and the only form of thing I've seen given to this perspective is the item was the one episode of South Park that was seen as being some form of demonic entity used for a demonic ritual, so I have no idea what they are supposed to be. It's also unclear if this project is said to be an animated or live action film itself, so it's really bringing a question as to what will come of it all. Now, personally, I'm questioning by the time this film is made if this will have any relevance or appeal and may be seen as dated very quickly, and feel this could be another emoji movie situation for them all over again, when they have been seeing some great appeal and strength to strengthen their film projects over the years, from like Spider-Verse, Cape of Dean Hunters, Mitchell vs. Machines, all these different projects and animation, different films over the last few years. They've worked out well, besides their kind of solo Sony films and stuff, that kind of things, but who knows. But I really question the case. It's something I feel they could have just left as a little trinket accessory and just left it as is. Now, at the moment, there is no word on when to expect this project in general, but if there's any new word on all of this, I'll provide that in a later episode as well. But in all this instance, what do you make of all these projects? Are you excited for a new Brad Bird animated fare? Will you watch the new projects based on Roger Rabbit? Do you think a series based on V for Vendetta will work? Would you watch another Zombieland film? Are you down for another Werewolf by Night project? And what are your thoughts on the original? Do you see the DC Mystery series being appealing? How well do you see an Alice in Wonderland musical movie work? And do you see a Labubu film as a good idea or a bad one? And do you even know what they're supposed to be? Let me know all about them down below and help me understand some of these things if you do as well. And with all that regards as well, that's all the news that we do have for this week.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
And now in the case of distance, with all of that, that ends episode 140 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed rambles as per usual. Now, quick fire updates of what to expect over the next few weeks in the channel. So, focus case reviews wise, I'm going to get to those snack size boxes ones I have. I'm going to get to some long form ones again eventually. I'm going to get to Last of Us back again. I'm going to get to some other bits and pieces. It's more a case of just find the time, the energy, and focus, because I'm currently focused on another thing now to try and make sure everything works out in something before I get on to, you know, probably getting some time to do this other stuff. So apologies on delay, some things, the, you know, reviews and stuff. I really need to kind of get back on some of them in this regards, but they're coming eventually, so look forward to those. I have a few ready to go, but yeah. In the case of some gameplays, I am going to try and get back to record some gameplays over the next couple of days as well. I just need to figure out what one I want to really get back onto play first. I want to go to Star Wars, I want to go to Mario Wonder, do I want to go to Donkey Kong, do I want to go to Cyberpunk? I need to figure it out, or in case you want to start something new or some of that and sort of work around it and then sort of come back to things when I'm in the mood for it. But I don't know either is the case. But all those will be coming on eventually, as well as some other new form games as well as a case of some other ones like, you know, Ventilate and all these other bits and pieces of games. Maybe try and do some co-op games with some people if they allowed me and stuff like that. I want to like make sure everything works out, so we'll see in this regards. And then long form stuff as well in the case instance, the rewatchathon is going to come along, the AI Audience Choice video is going to come along, the Hormones board is coming along. I have started development on the next time-lapse video, which is the Optimus Prime one. I've gotten about the first day group of footage cut down and basically stretched out. Probably just like edit slightly bits to cut out some of the audio from when like the fast paced stuff is going along, so to basically like make sure that the music works well in that aspect. But they're going to come along eventually, hopefully in the next couple of days. I might have that one as well, but we'll see. But with all that regards now, I'm going to leave the episode there for now. If you enjoyed my content, want to see more from me more frequently, then simply like and subscribe. There's no new stuff every single week. I'm aiming to hopefully by the end of this year get to 500 subs. So if there's a possibility to get these next couple of subs to get to 500, I would greatly appreciate that stuff, because, you know, I'm trying my best here, and, you know, it would appeal for a year that has been quite a mess, quite shitty, but yeah, it would do me the world a favor if you got to 500 subs in that regards. But in case, let me know your thoughts on everything that's discussed. Speak as well down below from the new releases, the trailers, and your thoughts on the news stories of all different topics and stuff like that, and hopefully help me understand something with that last bit in the news stories, but we'll see. But with that regards now, I'm going to leave it there for now. So as always, you all stay wonderful people, have a great day every day, do many great things, and keeping you because no one else could do what you do. Now, I've been your host Sam, of course, and I shall see you all in the next video, whatever this is, the next episode of this, or just the usual affair of other media pieces. So take care, I shall see you later.